Good morning, Dr. Judy, Dlamini.
Morning, Florence.
And Ma, thank you so much for availing yourself.
No, thank you for accommodating me.
We were really looking forward to having you as a keynote speaker, but life has had it, you have to be in Nigeria, but we made it happen.
No, I'm actually quite impressed that you could be flexible and make sure that I still can address the audience.
Okay, no, that's great. Ma, how's 2017 been for you?
Hectic. Hectic. If you asked me last year around this time how 2017 would be, I would have had no idea that it would be so hectic. The book has kept me very busy. Amongst other things that I do.
21 years later, you are thriving.
Well, one day at a time.
One day at a time.
One day at a time, like everybody else.
But you've done so well. Do you ever have a moment where you pat yourself in the back and you say, you know what, Judy, well done?
I don't, Florence. I'm grateful. I'm very grateful for everything that I've been able to do and all the people that are in my life, which are actually more important than whatever I've done. But I don't think there's enough space to pat yourself on the back, because you're always looking to that other thing that you believe you can still do, because no one of us knows how long are you around for. So every day is a gift, and you actually seize it with both hands, and you say, okay, what else can I do? You know? So that's how I live my life.
That's very interesting, because I know as entrepreneurs we can be very hard on ourselves, and hence we don't have the moments when you are just grateful and saying, you know what, I have achieved a couple of milestones and I'm going further, obviously, and I'm going to achieve a lot going further, but I've done well. And Ma, you've done so well.
No, thank you.
And I really wanted to tell you, and I know that the 150 females that are watching and everybody watching us now is very grateful of your achievements, because we are walking behind you and you've made things so much more easier, because you are a signpost.
No, thank you. A lot of people have helped me to where I am.
Okay, going to the book. I was at the book launch. Equal but different. As I've read it, and many people have read it, and we've received so many nuggets and wisdoms.
Thank you.
And we've received so much inspiration out of it. What has it meant for you now, going into the end of 2017? When you look back, did you really think it's going to be so well received?
Not at all. Not at all. It's been amazing. And I'm very grateful to the people that have actually supported me. They bought the book. They actually allowed me to have a book launch. And they also allowed me in their space to talk about the book and my own journey. I actually wrote the book out of a commitment to actually say, there's so many nuggets of wisdom coming from these women and the two men that I have to share it, And so that was the driver. I didn't look at it as a profit-making thing. Therefore, I didn't say, who's the audience? I was just like, you know what? If it finds someone who actually can make something out of it, so be it. So that was the drive. Everything else actually has been much more than what I had expected.
There's such blessing in being a facilitator of growth, because the book has facilitated our growth through information.
Thank you.
And it can be a book. There's various ways we can create platforms, whether it's through a book, whether through a conference, just for other people to learn and to grow. And that which you've done, I ask God that He keeps on increasing it.
No, thank you.
Because our growth has been really facilitated.
No, great.
Through the book.
Very much.
Having read the book, and one of the things that I picked up, which was an underlining narrative I thought you were pushing, was a mindset of thinking yourself as equal, but you're different, and there's beauty in that. And I thought to myself, wow, it is it. And if I can face everything and saying, you know what, I'm equal. And that I'm different, making me unique. Is it what you wanted most readers to walk away with?
Yes, simply because that's my fundamental belief, that we are all equal but different. And I find that when you start from that premise in a humble way to say, nothing is going to faze me. It doesn't matter where I am in the world. It doesn't matter who else in the room is and how powerful maybe they might be. But you know what? I'm still equal to them because we are made by one maker. And he actually made us equal. Different, but equal.
Going forward, having listened to you, and I know also, the audience follows you, and some of them are very envious of me right now as they're watching, because I get to sit with you. You're a huge advocate of education. And in now the entrepreneurship space, you hear a lot of people devaluing education, saying that, you know what, you don't need to have a formal education for you to become a thriving entrepreneur. What are your sentiments of that?
I get concerned with that thinking because it's so flawed. It's not funny. Because you look at just the few people that made it without education. They are such outliers, it's not funny. And what makes you think you are going to be that outlier? So you actually, even when you raise your kids, you try and get the best education for them because you want them to have the best, so that even if their aptitude wasn't that great, you give them a fighting chance in life. Education is everything.
As I mentioned, you value education, and which speaks now highly to self-development.
Yes.
Me equaling personal mastery, the know of self and being aware of yourself. In this journey of entrepreneurship, how important is personal mastery?
It's fundamental. It's fundamental because as an entrepreneur, you are the biggest asset that the organization has. Sometimes you might lose it all, but you won't lose yourself. So it's very important that you master self. It's very important to understand your strengths and your weaknesses, because the people that you choose, because you can't do it alone, you need a team that surrounds you. And those people that you choose, you actually need to know what gaps they are filling.
True.
And sometimes you make mistakes. If you are very in touch with who you are and your strengths and weaknesses, you realize when you make a mistake. And it's important to go and apologize to the people that you work with, because they'll learn to respect you. None of us is above making mistakes. And when we make those mistakes and own up to those mistakes, it just makes it easy for people to say, well, I'm human. Allow them to try things out. Allow them to be owners of the business, because they also get entrepreneurial. And in entrepreneurship, you make mistakes. If we are going to criminalize them for making mistakes, then there's a problem. The important thing that I've learned, though, is that trust is very important. For me, trust between myself and the people that I bring into the business is more important than actually just not making a mistake. Development of those people is very important to me. So if you were to ask me what's important in terms of the people that I choose to work with, it's trust, and also making sure that I find the best that each one of them has, even if it means you move them from the position that you employed them for, because you realize they are not good there. You find that they are good at, you move them to do that, but more importantly, develop them. Even if it means they actually have to get education from outside during the time of employment with you, you do that, because even if they leave, you have actually empowered a nation, because human beings are the biggest resource we have. So values, you're touching a lot to values and the importance of people, and it clearly, for me, as I'm listening to you, you value human beings and the capabilities that they bring and the values that they bring to your business. Back on personal mastery, there could be a lady watching now, and there's two of them in the business. They are frustrated. Things are very hard, and they are on their this age. What would you say to that person that is right now in 2017, they're feeling, I've given it all that I thought I could, and I think I'm going to pack up because I'm tired. I'm tired of networking sessions. I'm tired of these contracts that never come through. I'm tired of corruption. I'm tired of this rant that just fell. What would you say to them? There are so many, every situation has a context. it's important to understand that context. Because when you offer advice without understanding the context, you are actually going to offer the wrong advice. What actually grounds me is each time you reach those points, ask yourself why you started what you started. That focuses you. Why? Why did you start it? Because you actually get so absorbed in what you're doing, you run the distance, you even forget why are you here and what do you want to achieve. Because sometimes life has a way of directing you. Sometimes you start off saying, I'm going to do this, and everything acts against you, right? And you know when the wave is so strong, you can't. You actually, if you fight the wave, you'll drown. Sometimes you have to go with the flow. Actually, one of the women in the book says, I actually never had a dream that I'm going to be this or I'll achieve this by this time. I've allowed destiny to guide me, right? And that actually means the wave can be so hard, even if you had that dream, even if you had those milestones that I need to achieve this by then, but then life happens. And then it actually, now, if you know why you were doing what you were doing, you might realize that maybe you have to let go, because where you are is actually not going to give you what you were trying to achieve. But there's so much messages that are there all the time, and we don't listen to them because we are so focused on this baby that is actually dying. Sometimes the baby is dead and you can't resuscitate the baby, but you are alive. And what is also alive is why you chose to do what you are doing. And then you realize that this baby is not going to help me achieve what I was trying to achieve. But guess what? Just lift up, because you know when you are so absorbed with something, you forget to actually just take a breather, sit back, look around, and there's an opportunity. Actually, that opportunity will make me achieve what I actually set out to achieve better than this dead baby. So believe the dead baby. And you haven't left your dream, you haven't lost who you are, you've allowed yourself to listen to the environment, because the environment is always talking to you. It's like customers, they're always talking to you.
True.
If you don't tweak your model to accommodate the customer, you don't have a business.
Very, very, very true. And the ability to adjust and adapt, because changes happen all the time. And back to when you were talking about learning and self-development, oftentimes when you're not focused on developing yourself, you're very rigid.
Very.
And as entrepreneurs, you need to make sure that you're always learning, so that you're not rigid and set into your old ways, because there's new ways of doing things every day.
You know, the other thing I've learned, Florence, is humility helps you, because when you are humble, you have so many resources around you. You don't know it all. You listen. You ask the team, what do you think? I'm thinking about this thing. You know, what they say might not be what unlocks the puzzle, but it might actually make you think differently, because you utilize the brains around you, which is one of the things as entrepreneurs that sometimes you don't do as well, because we think you have everything, you've got all the answers, but the fact of the matter is that you don't.
Couldn't that also be we fail to communicate the vision in such a way that the people that are working with us have a sense of ownership in the vision and locate themselves in the vision, and that equals loyalty to not necessarily me, but to the vision?
Yes, you actually need, that's so true. That's so true. Because people buy to a vision, right? And they need to understand what that vision is. One, people need to feel valued. Because when you feel valued, even when you sit around the table, you know it's going to count. So you actually take the trouble to say, you know, when I say something, it's taken seriously. So I'll actually make sure I prepare for this meeting, because what I say will be valued. So those are the things that are very important, because it really is about relationships. Because even this networking, how you do it is so important. Because if you are driven by what can I get out of these people, it just shows, you know, it's about let me understand this person. What's this person about? Because in the understanding of the person, you build a relationship. It might not yield anything
now, true.
But later on, as you go about life, you then think, I met so and so, and maybe you did something positive for that person, and then it comes back.
And when you talk about family, you know, I'm sure there's other people sitting there like, yo, she doesn't know my problems, eh? No one is supporting me in this family. Yeah. This husband is a headache. Yeah. You know, I've got this business I've been running for 4 years or 6 years. Things are really, and they're feeling very lonely, you know, in this particular part.
Yeah.
What is it that you would like for them to take out of the book?
The first book or the second?
Both the books.
Both the books. You know, I am lucky. I had parents who told me I could be anything I choose to be. I'm lucky I have a husband who supports me. I'm lucky I have kids who actually believed in me and they rooted for me. But I always say, you are the master of your destiny, right? And your happiness comes from within. If you are going to look for happiness from other people, your husband, then you have a problem. Because you make a choice when you wake up that, you know what, I'm happy. And I'm going to make sure that my day is positive. I think when you are driven from within, every storm, you will survive as long as you have a relationship with your God. So when you lose everything and everyone, and you have the strength within you and the relationship with your God, everything can be surmountable.
Will work out.
Oh, it will work.
Because I think, you know, people look out, or we look up to you, successful people, and you think there's something different you're doing that I don't know of. You know, and then you realize that really the fundamentals are the same. It's just you've been more deliberate, you've been very intentional, and you've refused to in any way settle for less, irrespective of the challenge, and you put away excuses.
Oh, definitely.
You have so put away excuses. You know, so no one can say, no, I can't get this, or no, I can't do this, because that's another thing about life. Yes, I have the opportunity to sit here and interview you, but everybody that's going to be watching this, when you know more, you have now the responsibility of this new information that you have and use it. So we will, obviously it's going to be a book again, collaboration of, you know, different stories of exceptional entrepreneurs. And it's for us to locate ourselves in their journey, and you realize that this journey is it's similar. You know, the challenges are there, and various attributes like patience, perseverance cut across everyone. The last part I want us to touch is what you think are the ingredients of running a thriving business. I use the word thriving because in this part, there's a crisis every day. You know, you're sitting, you get an SMS, this is not done, you know. One, you know, you invest in your staff, one decides to resign, you know, there's always something, you know. So what are the ingredients?
You know, for me, what I've learned over the years is that it's important for you as an entrepreneur to understand your business. It makes it much easier as you recruit people into the business to be able to actually pass on the information to them. They are specialists in their area, but it's important still. That doesn't take away from you understanding the fundamentals of your business, right? They might come with their special expertise and assist, but you still have to understand what they do, because no person is indispensable. They leave and you find somebody else. If you don't understand what happens there, then you have a problem. Or if you haven't got other people who understand, then there's a problem. I find that when you must multi-skill your team, it helps, because when there are those gaps, people leave, then it's easy to say, so and so you'll take this part, so and so you'll take this part, and I'll see how I can fit. Because when super specialization, especially for small businesses, especially for startups, is a challenge.
Because you are your business.
Exactly.
Everything is on Florence.
Exactly.
So
yeah. So you have to have a control and understanding of your business. Having said that, each one of the people around you need ownership of the business. They need to understand, if I do this, this is how it impacts on everyone. So it's always important for you to share what's happening in the business. What are the challenges? Because then everyone understands, okay, that challenge I think I can fix because this is the contribution I have to the business.
Communication is important.
Communication, a value system that everyone understands. I find that a culture of the business is more important than anything else, because you can have these highly qualified people from Ivy League universities, but the culture, it just doesn't gel. You know, the culture has to embrace everyone. The culture has to be can-do. Everyone needs to buy into the vision. So the culture of the organization, and you have a very important role as a founder, as an entrepreneur, to actually drive the culture of the organization. Because if you gossip about people, that's the culture. If you actually empower everyone, have a positive energy, everyone then has a positive energy. If someone comes and they have a negative energy, you have to nip it in the bud and have a conversation with that person that it doesn't work.
You know, as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking there's no shortcut.
No.
Because there's a lot of times you just want things to work. It's like a micro oven kind of moment, so that, you know what, I'm pushing so much my pipeline and I'm still the face of this business. You don't have the time to now, you know, think about the culture of the business, and there's no way around it. You have to.
Yeah. It's like raising a child. You know, you actually, it's hands-on, right? You might have a helper, but it doesn't take away your responsibility
as a
of
parent,
nurturing this child as a parent, you know. And your child looks at you, at what you do, at how you live your life. It's the same in business. They look at you. If you actually walk and say, this is how we'll do business, I don't want corruption, you see it in different parts of the country where people talk. It's not the talk, it's the walk, right? Because if you say, I don't want corruption, then you actually are in the tender business, and then you allow some brown envelopes. Really? People are not fools. You have to be authentic.
How have you managed to make sure that these aspects of the business are efficient?
Yes.
And you are paying attention to them, and the machine is being oiled, and it's running so that you can be in it for 50 years.
Yes. It's actually quite interesting. There are different dynamics in business, as you know. You might find that it's a small business. Do I need an HR person? Maybe not, but I need the policies.
Yes.
Guess what? You actually have a consultant, actually draws the policies for you. Once off, you don't have that big salary bill because you've actually come with a corporate understanding of there must be an HR person, there must be a marketing person. No, you can actually source those services once off because it's cheaper to do that. As long as everyone is taken care of in terms of the HR policies, and you actually make sure that the legal side of things, the Labor Relations Act, you covered. That's important. Even when it comes to there's a disciplinary hearing, just staying within HR, you actually outsource that. You actually have someone who comes specifically to address the problem. That is one. But the other thing that is very important in the business is understand the business that you're in. Understand the customer, whether it's a product that you're selling or a service that you're selling. What are the challenges your customer has? How do you anticipate the challenges they are going to encounter and come up with solutions? And always stay in touch with the customer. Have surveys. You know,
research and development,
Research and development. You know, sometimes it means just having a focus group just to understand, are you happy? Have a book where people write, I was looking for this, I didn't find it. And then you go and look at that book and say, we actually need to find a solution for this person. One of the things I always find interesting in America, when you go to even a supermarket. Did you find what you were looking for? Religiously, they ask you that. We don't do that. I've never seen it anywhere else. You know, customer focus is so important.
And hence, I guess your Amazons are doing so well. I know we're speaking of big companies, but you see more companies are becoming very customer-centric. And there's no shortcut. Eh? As I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, you know, to build to last, because really for me, this conversation, it's getting the nuggets to build to last. And there are no shortcuts. I cannot do things half measures.
No.
For me to be able, and for all of us to be able to be here 21 years later,
it's hard work.
It is.
And staying at it all the time. You know, it's not like, okay, I'm done now. 10 years, that's it. No. For you to have the other 10 years and the other 10 years, I'm looking at one family in Nigeria. It's that generation in business. They are multi-billion-dollar business as a family today. So, and the son who's actually running the business now, his LLB from Harvard. So the education side of things, the staying close to it, the re-evolvement of the person, the business, you just have to stay at it the whole time. I mean, look at how old Warren Buffett is. Look at our own Richard Maponya. How old is he now? He is still on it, you know. So there are so many of these examples. And Richard Maponya, you know, I was so happy when Maponya Mall was open. I just sat there and said, I wish Uma Marina was still there because they've been at it. They never gave up.
Yeah, you know? But I'm tempted to continue because as we're talking now about Richard Maponya and your Warren Buffetts, or even your Oprahs or a woman like yourself, you see, every 5 years there's a new you.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, there is a new you.
Yeah.
You know, one you're doing this, then the next, then you're doing that, and it's so inspiring to see how a person can constantly reinvent themselves and become fresh all the time.
No, thank you.
Become fresh all the time.
I think we all do that.
Yeah.
We all do that. Sometimes you just don't realize.
I hope to continue.
Yeah.
I hope to continue. Now we're wrapping up the conversation. Your last word to everybody that is watching it, both corporates that are the professionals that are in the room and to the entrepreneurs that are in the room. What is your last word to them?
You know, everything is possible if you set your mind to it, if you invest in yourself, you invest in the dream, stay focused and stay true to who you are. And I think corruption starts and stops with you, because every corrupt relationship needs someone to play with. If you actually just focus on what you can do, the positive that each one of us can do, then we'll be better as a country and as a people. And quality education for our kids.
That's amazing.
And embrace difference.
Thank you so much. You know, in a conversation with you, one realizes how humble my Judy is, eh? You're so humble.
Thank you.
And you know what I'm meaning about how humble you are is I see myself in you. And I guess that's also the why the books are there, is that you can resonate with that person you see. It's like, oh, she's just as ordinary as another girl. She's just very driven and she put her mind to it. Man, thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Florence.
I
wish you all the success in what you do.
Thank you. And I'm sure I'll keep obviously in touch.
No, definitely.
And tell you the success of the summit.
We owe each other that. Thanks,
And to everybody else, I'm sure you've had a good time watching this conversation and you've learned a thing or two to make sure that you continue moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.